I won't be giving a demo today on the platform. I won't host an interview as well, but I will just give an insight on my daily job since I joined SciSports in January 2019. I've spoken to many clubs all around the world, and in that time I've seen a lot of differences, a lot of insights from different clubs, and I think it's very interesting for you as well to share all these insights with you. Um, just a small recap to the beginning when Giels, the founder, started SciSports, as he was the same like me, also an addict of Football Manager. So we are still working on that dream to make it come true, and it's going really well at the moment. Where we are based in the Netherlands, and I have also some colleagues in Spain and in Germany. Now working with almost 75 to 80 football organizations around the world, and then you're talking about mostly clubs, of course, but also agencies, associations are a key part of our growth in the last couple of years. If we look at the trends that I've seen with the clubs, then you can say, well, like they say that every person is unique, you can also say that every club is unique. But if I analyze it deeper, and if I analyze my conversations in the last couple of 18 months, then you can also recognize a sort of trend. And I've recognized three of them, where I have to say that none of them is the best way, and there are multiple ways to win prizes, make money, and be the champion of Europe, of South America, of North America, or Asia, or whatever. But there are three trends that I've noticed. The first one to dive a little bit deeper into is the club-driven way. As Justin also mentioned a little bit, there's a clear club identity, where there's a philosophy throughout the club regarding their academy, in their scouting, and in their first team. So they are basing it on a player profile, and it's really recognizable during the years on how a team is playing. A good example of that as well is Liverpool under and Athletic Bilbao, but those are really club-driven, clubs regarding their scouting, regarding their academy, and regarding their first team. And what is really a strong point in that is also the sustainability, that if a director of football or a coach is leaving, that it's easy replaceable. Then you have also a lot of clubs, and it's also nice to see that there are completely different types of clubs within a country, and they also have some overlap with each other, because of course club-driven clubs also work with agents, and club-driven clubs also have a manager who will have a say. But yeah, the title of the sheet is telling it, what is leading. Well, you also have a lot of clubs where there is an agent-driven mentality. Well, that can also have the following consequences, that there's a lot of changes within their squad during the year. So a lot of wheeling and dealing, but also a different identity, because based on the best players available on the market, you could have a different style of play and a different way of setting your squad. That makes it also very flexible, so you're not being covered in, okay, we need to fit a player, or we need to find a player who fits the profile, but you can switch a lot. So there are also advantages in this kind of way. And then of course you have the manager-driven way, where the manager is a big part in the transfer and scouting approach of a club, where he can decide a lot. Only thing with that is as well, if the manager is leaving and the players are staying at the club, will they be used in the same way for the next manager, or does the next manager have his own philosophy as well, which makes the case that you have to change a lot of players within your squad to fit the new style of the manager. So those are the three most important trends. There's also some overlap, of course, within the leading trends. But what is also very interesting, and that is why I am able to have that many conversations with those clubs, is that they all um, work in a referring to the title, the football scouting in digital age. So you all see them changing in their process, in their mentality to become more data driven, because you can put the club profiles also in data profiles. You can put the manager profiles that he wants also in data, and also an agent. You can also cover or back up his opinion that he has on a player. You can back it up with objective data. So it's really interesting to learn a lot from these different type of clubs and the way how they work and how they try to get better and winning more matches and winning more prizes and making more money. Well, if I look back on the meetings that I all had, I've created an ideal scouting process, in my opinion. And that is where you can see, and a lot of clubs are also using this way of working as well, where the data scouting is doing its entrance since, I think, 5 years. And there are a lot of clubs who are making a lot of use of this, especially in screening the players within a certain profile. It could be the profile of an agent, a manager, or within a club. Then it will go to the video scouting, where it's more an analysis on, okay, how does a player move? What can he do? How does he look like? And then, of course, a thing that's also crucial and important in the process is judging his mental attributes and see how he resolves live, because you want to see a player live always to have a feeling with the player. But especially, as you can see in the funnel, that the 70–80% of the work can also be done from home, behind your laptop, really efficient, because that's what all clubs want. They have one thing in common. They want to buy the perfect fit for the club, as cheap as possible and as efficient as possible. And that's the key common thing that all the clubs that I've spoken with in the past 18 months have in common, and it were a lot. Then, of course, I would like to show you an example of, okay, it's nice that you show the theory, but does it also happen in real life? Well, one of our respected clients, SC Heerenveen, I can show an example of them. The difficulty with Heerenveen was that non-EU players in Holland cost a lot. So it was difficult to sign a player because that wasn't in their strategy because of the cost. But okay, they were convinced. They are really well known in Scandinavia, and they were convinced regarding the data on how EJUKE could perform at Heerenveen. They combined it with their own eyes, of course, and they had a really good view on how EJUKE could develop when he moved from Vålerenga to Heerenveen. And now he's already in big interest from bigger clubs. So it could be possible that it could make a lot of money for him next summer, also depending on the COVID, of course. But what do you see, and what do you see in the data profile of EJUKE? You see a big growth in his size skill level. That is meant his current ability. So he went from a lower league like the Eliteserien to a little bit higher league in the Eredivisie. So he got a higher resistance, but he performed very well also with Heerenveen. The same with his potential. And as you can see with his contribution rating, that means that we do not focus on how many times he does an action or how many passes that he gives or what is his passing accuracy, but we measure the value of a player on his actions. So in this case, you can see that CHIDERA EJUKE compared to other wingers in 2019 was the most valuable winger of the Eliteserien. And as you can see in the Eredivisie this season, he's also in the top 7 of the league. And also, if you don't take the traditional top 3 out of it, he's one of the best wingers. And as you can see as well, that especially the things that he's good at are his dribbling and his take-on. So the data in this case really helped Karel Brandsma and Gerry Hamstra from Heerenveen to make the decision as an extra backup to sign EJUKE and to take the risk, unless or despite his non-EU salary. Yeah, and it was a very good choice as he performed really well at SC Heerenveen this season. And let's hope we can enjoy in Holland from him another year, but I can imagine that a lot of clubs are in line to maybe sign EJUKE. Well, of course, it's not all that all the clubs in the world are joining SciSports, of course, because there are a lot of arguments why you are not maybe ready to SciSports or to data scouting at all. And a thing that I hear a lot is, okay, live scouting is key. I agree, of course, and I also showed the funnel. But is it worth to travel a lot of times, and is it worth to watch 500 games when you only going to sign maybe 3 or 4 players? I think that's a really good question that you should have ask yourself as an agent or as a club. Is that the way how we work, or can we make it more efficient? Well, then we also have the changing organization, and you see that more often right now, where directors or managers aren't the next Alex Ferguson or Arsene Wenger anymore. So there are a lot of changes within clubs. But okay, scouting and transfers are the lifeline of clubs now more than ever. Yeah, you should put the scouting on hold for 2 months, or should you invest in it and become more innovative and more sustainable for the future? Also, the budget case, in my opinion, that's an easy one to rely on. But okay, yeah, the example with EJUKE, yeah, you can back things up with data. Of course, the eyes are crucial and are key. But okay, if you invest as well in data, yeah, you can minimize the risk of signing a bad player or signing a misfit in your squad. And I think the cost of working with data scouting definitely weighs up against if you sign a player for 150,000 or 1.5 million. Those costs are much higher. So working with data scouting on risk to do risk management is really important. And also context and presentation, because it's new. A lot of clubs do not have a lot of experience with it, and you have to convince also a manager or a director or a president in signing a player. Context and presentation is key. That is also a thing that we help in with SciSports, especially with if a club is also missing the knowledge to present it in the right way, because software is nice, but without context, without presentation, it's really difficult to understand. So those are the key things that not every club right now in the world is working with data scouting or is working with SciSports. But I think there's a really interesting transition going on, which can help a lot of clubs in the future. And how do we do that? And that's my last sheet at the moment. It is possible, and we have a key figure in our organization with Niels, who are training the users in our platform and who are making sure that once you start using the data scouting, that you can answer your challenges and that you know how to use data, because like I said, data is also a supporting tool. It can support your eyes, it can support your process, but it's really important that you make it an important part within the process. Well, that was my presentation, a little bit of an insight on how I analyzed my time at SciSports so far. I hope I will have a long time still to come. And I hope it was interesting to give you a little bit of insights in my role, as I have spoken with different clubs all around the world, also the good presenters that we have today. So yeah, that was it.
Thanks again for your presentation and your insights from the industry. I know you visited a lot of clubs in the past year, and you're a vivid football fan yourself as well. We also have several questions for you. The first question I would like to get on stage is a question of Peter, and I'm looking for it right now. Because in the current situation, everybody is of course asking what will happen. And Peter asked the question if you are seeing major changes in recruitment policies within clubs or over clubs during the current pandemic.
Yeah, definitely. The times that I'm being approached by the club itself are rising a lot. So I'm being contacted by clubs quite a while right now out of themselves. And the things that you see is that the clubs are rethinking their processes. Are we doing it on the right way? And also, yeah, they're thinking about the future when it's supposed that a lot of games will be without audience. So is live scouting even possible? So I think to make your business model and your scouting model more sustainable, I think that there will be a big change in the recruitment for most of the clubs. But like I said, also with the with the leading trends, it's also about culture within a club. So it could be possible that some clubs fall back to their old habits. But my feeling right now is that a lot of clubs will make big changes in their recruitment also to become more sustainable in the future.
Yeah, thank you, Jesper. Another question here for you is a question of Scott. And he asked you, when looking for contextual information, how far into the player's historical league and club data do you look?
Well, what you can see in the data that we have, I think we can go back until 15 years in his career. But what is important during his career that you can, yeah, that you can see his involvement during his career as long as you can look. So of course you have the players who are just started their career. Then you have other things to focus on, like his potential or like his short-term performances. But the older a player is, yeah, the more context you can get. And I think that depends on the age of the player and the situation of the player itself. I had a good example this morning with Danny Ings, who is one of the top strikers at the moment in the Premier League, but yeah, who had a 2.5 year time spell at Liverpool where he didn't play at all, and that really affected his data profile. So yeah, you have to create the full data profile of a player to judge him on the right way. And yeah, the more info you can get, the more context it will give. And yeah, the platform is of course one way to do it.
Yeah, thank you. And the final question already, Jesper, but I think you are available for questions all the time, so people can always reach out to you.
Yeah.
Last question is of Boyd. And he asks you, how do you go about when a common perception about a team or manager is very different from data?
Yeah, sometimes I've had these conversations, and those conversations are really short. So it could be possible that that a club or a director is telling me, yeah, but I don't believe in data. I can see it with my eyes. Well, then I can only say, okay, but let us help you and make sure that you can use your eyes as good as possible. Let us help you in following the right players and not following all the players, because we are not replacing directors of football, because you will always use your eyes to do the final judgment. But I have had those conversations, and yeah, not many times there's a next meeting scheduled. So yeah, those clubs are there, and also that's their own way of doing it. And if they can, yeah, win prizes and get points with it, yeah, a good job. But a lot of clubs you can see are taking it a different way. Also, the next two presenters.
All right, wonderful. Thanks a lot for your time, Jesper.